All right. Hi, ladies. Okay, this is a little bit new. If you don't know me, my name is Brooke Peterson. I'm the founder of Fit Mom's Guide. And if you haven't been around for very long, our whole mission here is to help you, busy lady, busy mama, live well, laugh often because life is just too short, and then also impact the world around you. And so I'm going to kind of test the waters and start to introduce you guys to people who have made a huge impact on my life. And today, that third part of our mission to impact the world around you, wherever you are right now in your season, whether that's busy mama, changing diapers, whether you're, crushing it in the corporate world, I want you to really feel confident about why you were on this earth to begin with. And obviously in Fit Mom's Guide, the health aspect is to be healthy in order to do that. And so today I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my dear friends, but not only a dear friend, this woman has been my business mentor for over the last year. And what I'm able to bring you and how I'm able to serve you guys is really a result of the time that she has spent pouring into me in not only business perspective, but just personally and spiritually helping me become the woman that I'm today so I can serve you better. So I thought, what better person to kick this series off by introducing you guys to her so that you can hear her story, because not only has she been a business coach, and she'll tell you more about that, she's also doing some really exciting things and stepping out with courage and in boldness and this journey of continuing to impact the world around her. So I'm really excited for her to share what she has going on. I'm really excited for you to hear her story so that it can encourage you wherever you're at to just say, yes, I can make an impact no matter what season of life I'm in and what resources I have. And so without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Tracy David of Little Acorn Shave Co. And I'll let her, introduce a little bit more of her story and where she's at in her journey, and just sit back, grab a cup of coffee or your 40-ounce water bottle, people, and enjoy the ride. So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Brooke. I'm actually on my kombucha at this point, so that okay too?
That's another reason why we're great friends.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that introduction. And, I just want to kind of push that back and bounce it and reflect it back to you, because here's the thing. When I met you, a couple of years ago, what I saw in you was this extraordinary gift to impact the planet. And how many of us know that when we run into those people, when we encounter those people, we are compelled to want to serve them and to support them so that they can become the best that they want to be. And so every bit of what you're talking about is because you've been willing to also invest in yourself and be able to nurture those gifts that you've been given and develop them so that you can serve others. And it really just is a pay it forward process, right? We all continue to pay it forward to others. And so I just want to celebrate you today, Brooke, and the amazing woman that you are and how you've impacted and inspired me in the process of working with you, because there's no small thing when we invest in others, but then when we give and then we get back, it's pretty fantastic. So I have been truly blessed. I've been truly inspired by you, by everything that you are as a woman, and how not only are you giving to others, but how you've just given back to me and allowed my life to be that much better because of having the chance to be in relationship with you. So I appreciate the edification and the support and the mutual love, because that's how we make things happen, right? Mm-hmm. And the opportunity also to just continue to share our story with others, because we don't know where that's all going to go. But I do know that if we don't tell anybody our story, it's impossible for anybody to be inspired by it. And I continually get inspired by other women who are just simply sharing in their vulnerability. So my hope for today is that I can share something with you and your tribe that would even just trigger one little thing in their life that would help them take the next step and have courage to move beyond where they're at today. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I've been in business for myself since I was 17, and you would think that many years of practice, it would get easier. It would get kind of like riding a bike or doing some sort of exercise or doing some sort of activity, like it would become familiar and easy, and yet that has not been what my personal experience says. Each level of elevation in life, each next project becomes more challenging and allows us to expand in new areas. And so I want to just and you've heard me say this to you before too, that don't stop growing. Like, we're never done, right? We get to spend our life being perpetual learners and doers, and not just doers because we want to have an identity in doing, but because we want to expand. We want to grow. We want to elevate ourselves. And in that elevation, we also help other people get stronger and better. Our children, our next generation, our girlfriends, our coworkers. So I'm in the process of working on my 5th project right now. I've spent the better part of the last dozen years working with entrepreneurs like yourself and helping them really move through the obstacles that come, because let's be real, they come. Like, it's no small thing to be an entrepreneur. It's hard. And not just in the aspect of how do I get my product or service out there? How do I learn to do marketing? But how do I overcome the daily language, the daily conversation that happens inside of my head, right? Because all of these other challenges, we learn new things, we engage other people to help us learn how to market. And in this season of our lives and culture, we have to become social media experts. We have to become marketing experts. We need to know how to do email campaigning, all of the things that help grow our business.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if we're experts at all of that and we haven't learned to master what's inside of our head, what's inside of our heart, how to identify who we really are and the truth about who we are, those things are at best going to move us little millimeters ahead, right? We still end up losing the game because it's so hard. And that's really what has propelled me to this new project, because in working with so many amazing women like yourself, I discovered that the same thing that was in me was also in them. And that is this little internal critical game that we play with ourselves. And we get into some pockets of our life, the vulnerable pockets, where we tend to hear that voice louder. And it was my experience that as women, when we are alone in our own little space, and maybe we're not being intentional about our devotion, or, and even if we are, let's assume that we've done all of those things that we know help keep us moving, but then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a pocket of time where the voice is there, the mean girl, the one that doesn't believe in us, the one that has doubts, the one that maybe even isn't necessarily squashing us, but wants to whisper in our ear that it's too hard and we don't know enough and we don't have enough experience, and who do we think we are? And even though on the outside we're putting on that superwoman pose, right? We hear about that and we become more confident and we do all of these things. And then we get into the private places, and it could be the shower, it could be the bathroom, it could be the car. There are a few little places that are pretty consistent for women like myself and you, that I get in the shower and, it happens kind of in this series of things, right? So I get naked and I get a glance of myself in the mirror, and I am reminded of the things that I don't really appreciate about my body for whatever reason, whatever conditioning I've had, and the curves or the extra whatever, or the less too much, or whatever it is. And then I get in the shower, and it's in that quiet space that critical voice begins to rise up in me. And I noticed that to be true for my clients too. And when the wheels would fall off in their businesses or in their lives, they'd be doing really great. And then all of a sudden I would ask, what happened in the last 24 or 48 hours, Brooke? Like, what's transpired? And you and I have talked about this too in your own process. And it's usually when that voice ends up having permission to talk to us, and we don't know what to do about it. We don't even know it's there. And we begin to listen to those lies. And so I wanted to find a way to be able to combat those places of vulnerability that we have as women, where that critical voice disempowers us, that creates the lack of confidence that says, you're who do you think you are, right? Like, it's just the lie of the enemy. And yet, how do we overcome that? And so in my coaching practice, I discovered some really practical tools. We all know these tools. They're simple. They're words of affirmation if we say something nice to ourselves. And yet for some reason, we mysteriously forget how to use them. Like it seems almost too simple. There must be some other way I can fight this. And after 3,000 success stories, I figured I was probably onto something pretty fantastic, because there was just family after family, lives and marriages and entire groups of people and organizations that continued to experience transformation because they chose to use the power of word affirmation in the place where those lives would enter in. And so I went on a mission to say, how do I tell more women about this? And it's specific to women, not because men don't ever feel inadequate or have the same critical voice, but because they process that information differently. And as women, when we internalize that, it becomes a part of our identity and causes us to not live to our full potential. And so I wanted to have a tool. I wanted to have a way. How do I deliver this without you engaging in a coaching relationship with me, but just being able to say, here's a simple tool, and you don't have to change your life to do it, Brooke. I want to remind you in the place that you're the most vulnerable. And so through a series of events, and I say this whole part of the story because I want to encourage each and every one of you that you all have had these moments in your life where you have a crazy idea. And you don't know how to put the idea together because it doesn't quite make sense to you, and so you negate it. And I've done this multiple times myself, but here's for me what happened. I had this conversation. It was a random conversation with my business coach, and out of the blue, he says to me, hey, have you heard of the Dollar Shave Club for Men? Now, I don't know about many of you, but if somebody asked you that question, it would be like, why are you talking to me about this? Especially my business coach, like, let's talk about me today. And so he's asking me about this Dollar Shave Club, and I'm thinking, why? Yes, of course I've heard of it. And he says, well, they just got acquired for $1 billion. They're 5 years in business, and there's nothing for women. You should do something with the Women's Shave Club. And I'm thinking, what? No. No, you're not, like, listen, buddy, we're working on this thing. I want to tell more women about how to gain confidence. And so understand that sometimes we have really goofy ideas. I specifically am going to tell you and take time on this part of the story because right now I know that this has got to be speaking to some people. You've had some weird conversation, some random idea that you have no idea how it fits, and yet the seeds are being planted. And when we begin to be open-minded and nurture those seeds, they can become something that produces incredible fruit. A couple weeks later after that, I was at my family's house for holidays. They were telling the same story about that family member. And you guys all know this. Everyone has somebody in their family that you tell a story about that you've been telling stories about forever. I'm that kid. When I was 3, I found an acorn. It was filthy and dirty, and my mom wanted me to put it down. So imagine this, Brooke. Haven's got an acorn in her hand, and it's crusty and dirty and muddy, and her beautiful little ivory dress is now full of mud. You're like, what? Put it down. Honey, no, you're getting all dirty. So that's my mom, and she didn't want me to be playing with it, but I was fascinated with this thing. So when my mom turned around, I decided that I would just have to keep it. And where does a 3-year-old in her little Sunday dress keep something she wants forever? I had a couple of choices, and my choice was to jam it right up my nose. Oh my God. And I did this with the full intention of keeping this little acorn forever, and landed myself in the emergency room so they could extract this little nut that had been lodged inside of my tiny little nostril. Now, it's an entertaining part of the story, but understand that what was in my heart at the moment was that I was so tired of my family telling this story about how I jammed things in my nose, and I was irritated and frustrated and demeaned by some way about this story. And as I was sharing it with my girlfriend, she said, you're just not looking at it the right way. I see something completely different, and I think it's exactly you. And she was actually very emotional about it. And I thought, well, that's weird. Like, why are you getting so uptight about this? And she said, you have, you're not seeing it from God's point of view. You see, when you discovered that acorn, even the smallest of acorns might seem invaluable, might seem useless, might seem crusty and dirty and like something that you shouldn't touch. And yet when it's put in the right soil and nurtured, it has the potential to become a mighty oak tree. And she's like, Tracy, this is your life's work, and this is you as an individual. Like, you've spent your life figuring out how to nurture that little acorn inside of you to become the mighty oak. And some seasons have been longer than other seasons. And there are many times that you have felt like there's no progress. Like, how many of us have felt like years have gone by and we've had no growth? And yet that's not how the mighty oak works. The mighty oak takes an entire lifetime before it becomes its significant potential. And so I knew in that moment, borrowing from the remembrance of the conversation I had earlier with my coach, that I really want to impact women in this vulnerable place. How do I do it? Well, what if I could meet you in the shower in that vulnerable place and ride in on something that you are already doing on a daily basis and begin to encourage you with words of affirmation that would allow you to live to your full potential and not have to change your routine on a daily basis. And so it was at that moment that the Little Acorn Shave Co. was born. And that's the name of our company and the mission that we're on. And it really is this place of meeting us in the place of our little acorn, meeting us even when we have a sprout of an oak tree growing, but we still feel like that little acorn. We still feel small and useless and wonder what our purpose is. We watch the other things around us and go, well, maybe I'm supposed to be an orange tree, or maybe I'm supposed to be an apple tree, or maybe I'm supposed to be a petunia. Maybe I'm supposed to be her or him. And the reality is that the acorn has its DNA in it already. We have everything that we need to become the fullest of who we are already put into our blueprint. We simply need to nurture it in time for it to become that. And so our company is really all about meeting you in that place, whether it's feeling small or just having the circumstances be against you, and remembering and reminding you that the potential to become the mighty oak is inside of you. And so we want to inspire women to know that we are enough. We are enough, Brooke. We are enough right where we're at today. And yes, we want to do and have and be more. Of course we do. That's the natural humanity that God built in us, to want to have more and do more and be more. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. But in this moment, we're also enough, and we're beautiful, and we're wonderfully made. And can we stand in that truth? Because when we do, all the fears of life tend to have less power over us. Mm-hmm. And so I set out on a venture to begin to have that mission. And in the collision of all of that, we discovered that as women, we have been shaving with a man's razor. Oh my goodness, for 100 years, we've been using a man's razor. It has not changed, except that they added a pink handle to it and a few aloe strips and said, "This is for you, lovely lady." Wow. Okay. And we believed it because we didn't know any better, right? And so our company has actually created a brand new razor for women. It's a new patent pending technology in shaving for a woman's body, meant and designed for a woman. And you can see all of the beautiful pictures of it and everything on our website. I'll tell you about it later. But the reality is, just circling back to that, everything that I've done up until this moment, Brooke, has allowed me to have the confidence and the posture to move forward into this. And has it been easy? Oh my goodness, no. Like I said in the beginning, it's the most challenging thing that I've ever done. I am picking a fight with some really big bullies in the industry, in the beauty industry itself. Think about how many disruptive messages we get to our identity every single day. The message that we need their product in order to be beautiful or enough. And so that in itself is a huge change, a huge disruptor in the way we're communicated to by the beauty industry. And so we're coming in with a message that changes that, and an innovation that is breaking the mold after 100 years. So you can believe there's some opposition to that. It has been climbing up a mountain the whole entire time. Yesterday, I was listening to the message of, if you didn't have any fear, what would you be doing? And for the first time in my life, Brooke, I actually could answer, I'm doing it.
Wow.
I'm doing it. I'm in so much fear, and I'm still doing it anyways. And so my inspiration, my encouragement for you and for every single one out there today listening or watching the replay of this is that, celebrate yourself in the place that you have decided to do it anyways, even though you were afraid, and acknowledge it. Because we don't get over our fear and then do it. We do it with our fear. And then our fear gets minimized and we have the capability to be able to continue to press forward. And so even watching you and your business and how you're serving and supporting other women, pressing through your own personal fears to be able to work on supporting other women is a huge accomplishment. And so when we can live in vulnerability and transparency and say, it's so hard. It's so hard. I wake up every day and have to have a conversation, I don't have to, I get to have a conversation with myself that says, Tracy, you're enough. And you don't know everything yet. And every day you learn something new. I learn something new. And then I'm more enough than I was yesterday, but I'm still enough today. And can I see the beauty in that process and know that I am going to accomplish the DNA that's already put in me to become a mighty oak tree. And all of my friends and all of the people that I get to connect with, my only job on the planet is to nurture you a little bit so that your process gets to the place where your growth isn't stunted.
Whoa. Thank you for sharing that story. And I want everyone who's listening to this to like really take a moment and understand, like, Tracy had an idea. I had an idea. And so you might be sitting there like, oh, do you know how many billions of dollars is the beauty industry, even the shave industry? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, so it's 83 billion, just the shave industry alone for women. So women's shaving revenue is $83 billion.
What? I have chills.
Yeah, so on average, the average woman spends about $200 a year on her shaving supplies.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about this for a second. Tracy had an idea, and it just so happens that this idea is going to disrupt an $83 billion industry. That is mind baffling. And so it's so easy though, for someone like me that, works from home and I'm in this busy season to say, oh, that's just her calling. She can just do it. She's different than me. And I want the listeners to hear that the only difference in Tracy or, someone else who you see being successful, which, success in my terms is just fulfilling your calling. It's just doing the thing you're going to do. Like you're saying, you already have it in you. Those that are listening, you already have what is inside of you to make an impact, whether that's in your neighborhood or whether that's disrupting another $80 billion industry. And, the key that I think is so important that we take away from what Tracy's sharing is like, it's here. Like the only difference is in here. And how do we manage this? And, I can just share in my last year's journey, Tracy really helped me to, give me the tools and consistently fill my mind with truth so that I have a better, and this will be a work in process, right? It's daily renewing our mind. It has a daily thing, but I am getting better in the discipline of daily renewing this thing. But I will say, for those of you who feel like, yeah, I've had that idea, like I've had that crazy little seed planted of an idea that could, impact one person or impact a billion people. It doesn't matter the impact we think it is. It just matters what is the thing. What are you being faithful to? And so number one, it's like, and I hear this in your story, you had to be really faithful to, do the work yourself and manage that because we're the only ones that can do that and know what's really thinking. And for me, even thinking about the shower, this is like getting nitty gritty, but when I get I don't have the thigh gap. I never will, right? Like just how I'm built. I never will. So I'm like, thighs are rubbing together. I'm like getting in the shower. And before I could take that one, like, oh, my thighs are rubbing together. I feel like, jiggly right now. I could literally let that one train of thought cascade into, nope, not qualified. It's like those little things. And so it's like the discipline of that. But then the second thing that has propelled me into really, really believing that I can do XYZ has been another person edifying that in me. So that is the beauty of community. And that is the beauty of accountability. Like, Tracy, a personal coach, a life coach, a business coach, wherever you are, it has been like that slight edge. You hear two people talk about, it's like the slight edge of having someone consistently. Tracy and I connect weekly, every week. Some weeks are like, awesome. Other weeks are like, this sucks. It's all over the map. But having someone, whether that's a spouse or a friend or, a coach, be able to consistently speak the truth over your life and say, yes, this is a good idea. Maybe this is a God idea. You are qualified. You are enough, has been the game changer for me and what I've seen with you. So Tracy, I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about how have you done this and how do you continue to do this when you have those hard days, even in your journey now of managing this?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it is an ever-present learning experience because in the beginning, you can imagine that this huge idea, it seemed impossible. Where do we even start? How do we even do that, right? And so the first thing that I would say piggybacks on what you just said is find yourself some accountability. And it's not even, I wouldn't even call it, we call it accountability, but it's not, I'm going to do this, this, and this on this day, but it's rather, are you sure I can do this? Remind me why I'm doing this again. And when we have that bouncing back, because what I found is as I started to create a team around me, that team, then when they needed encouragement, I could be the one that said, no, we're doing this. Nothing is holding us back. And when I was having a day where I might have had rejection after rejection after rejection, because believe you me, after 18 months, I have had more than a few dozen, and people want to say like hundreds. No, I haven't had hundreds. I've had a few dozen, probably about 30 just specific rejections. Like, nope, we're not investing in your company, or it's not going to work, or the market's too saturated, or why do you think this is going to work? And just questioning whether or not this is going to work. And then you go home and think, yeah, they know better than me. Yeah. They already have millions of dollars. They're investors. Maybe I should look at that instead of going, hang on a second, they're just not the right partners. Yeah. So I think part of the mind game is to realize that there is opposition every single day. There is opposition, and whatever we choose to focus on will multiply in our life. Mm-hmm. So if we choose to focus on the things that we're being rejected on, that doesn't mean I didn't review them. It didn't mean that I didn't begin to iterate and perfect my pitch, or change my business plan, or the delivery, or the communication, or do more research. It just simply meant that I didn't focus on the fact that somebody didn't believe in me. I chose to focus on the fact that there were people who believed in me. And as I chose to do that, then more people believed in me. And before you knew it, within a few months, I had 36 women who wanted to invest in me. Instead of trying to find the right, trying to worry about whether or not everyone wanted to invest in me, I found the people who did. Wow. And that propelled us to that next place. So really it has to start with you choosing every day to believe that you're going to do it even when it gets hard, and then finding and building that support system around you, that community, that tribe, that team, whatever that looks like, and being very clear about what it is that you're going to do for each other. So on a daily basis, when we meet as a team, we talk about some very specific things. What's working? What's working for you? Because how many of us get stuck in the what's not working, and our minds are trained to be in that place. Oh my goodness, this didn't work. And I'm going to get together with you and I'm going to tell you all the reasons why it didn't work and what we have to fix about it. Well, we're going to get to that. But let's celebrate what is working, and then let's celebrate what we want to be acknowledged for, because sometimes I needed to be acknowledged for things that nobody could see. And if I was able to learn how to communicate that to someone, and they could acknowledge me for that, I could get stronger and more confident in that. And there were days I needed more confidence than others because I was feeling really small. And we all need that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think we have a false expectation of ourselves and others that we think we ought to feel invincible every single day, because we should be acting like that. And I think there's a level of vulnerability that offers the invitation to others to be a part of our journey, to say, I'm going to have days that are really hard, and when I could be vulnerable and with those safe people in my life, not everybody, right? Like, you don't want to ask the wrong people when you're vulnerable, because that can destroy you. But when you have that support system and you can say, I'm really feeling discouraged. I'm thinking about my lack of thigh gap today and how I'm not getting anywhere. And we can say, well, what are we going to focus on? What's beautiful about your body that you could choose to shift your focus? Because if I can't change the circumstance, I can change my focus.
Yeah.
whatever we focus on, we get more of, we get better at, it multiplies. So the key to the mind game is choosing what you're going to focus on. For me, every day, the start of every day is focusing on a few key things, right? Of course, gratitude, we've heard that all the time. What are you grateful for? Which is also what's working. I'm celebrating what's working, and then choosing to focus on the things I want to expand.
I love
And
it.
working on the things that I need to make changes to. So, and it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. Everything is going to take longer than we think, and so the timing of things we can also release. But in the process of that, what are we going to focus on? Every single day, being in control of what we focus on.
I love it. That's just so practical. So what's working? What do I want to be acknowledged for? And what do I need to focus on? What do I want to really, what's the one win of the day per se? And that could be applied to your fitness. That could be applied to your nutrition, to your business, to your family, to your parenting. Like, those are great questions. And it's starting that on a positive note, because how can we celebrate today? And some of the ladies watching are better than celebrating than others. And so we need you partiers to help us out. I'm like in that boat. I need people to say, just slow down and just like relax for a second and just celebrate, how far you've come. And
sometimes I think we believe it needs to be bigger than it has to be in order to celebrate, right? Like we labeled celebration things like birthdays and anniversaries and promotions, but what if celebration could be like, I washed my hair today and I feel fantastic, and I'm celebrating that I feel good in my skin today.
It's so good. So just a couple last takeaways, and then I'd love to end our time together to sharing, like, how can I get my hands on this amazing razor that's going to enhance not only my shave, let's be real, but my whole shower experience. Always open for that. I just want to reiterate and point out these couple takeaways. Is that number one, there's fear. Like you're saying, there's fear, like there's still fear present in your journey. There's still, every day, fear never goes away, but it's just having the mental capacity and the truth to push past it and do it anyways. So critical. I think it's easy to look at people who are going for it or doing it and like, oh, they just must not be afraid. No, it is terrifying. And then the second thing I loved when you opened up is that you said, when we invest in ourselves, we actually do that so that we can elevate others. And so I just want to acknowledge that, like, whatever investing in yourself looks like right now, for those who are watching, it's not just for you. Like, it elevates everyone else who you have influence over. So it's worth it. And then the last thing is just the importance of everyone's story. If you don't think you have a dramatic or impactful story, you do, because you're you, and you're the only you that has ever been and ever will be. And so there's something unique, about each person's acorn and the DNA in that the world needs and the people around you need. And so I just want to reiterate, everyone's story is so important. And I think the more that we can share it and have time to articulate it, not only do we feel more confident and valued and edified, but then the people around us have permission to share their story and feel valued and edified. So thank you, Tracy. I would not be doing this. I would not be here right now, with Fit Mom's Guide and all the opportunities if it wasn't for you. So just, again, want to acknowledge publicly and just say thank you for, and not investing just in my business, but in me personally. It's a really big deal and will be impactful for literally generations to come. So I just honor you in a big way. So with that being said, where in the world can we get our hands on?
Well, thank you for asking. And we are still in the journey. So it's really important for us also to learn how to ask for help, right? Like, I would love to be able to say to you, yes, it's been, we have it all accomplished and we've landed exactly where we wanted to land. And now we're this big brand and we're out there. We're still building this. And part of the challenge has been, as a new brand coming into the industry, to be able to have the resources available to us that allow us to actually do something like the big brands are doing. And what I mean by that is, because we're manufacturing an entire new invention, like there was nothing and now there's something, and we made it up in our mind. We're building it with manufacturing tools and die mold tools, and I've had to have an education and all of that. But all of that is very expensive. And so in the process of that, asking for support of women like yourself to say, hey, do you want to get on board with what we're doing? And if so, would you be willing to participate in our tribe before we actually have a tangible thing, right? So I'd love to be able to say, hey, go on my website, order it, and you'll get a razor next week. And that will be true very soon. Right now, what is true is that we are doing pre-sales. And the pre-sales allow you to be an early adopter, allow you to be one of those women who says, I love the idea of what you're doing. I love the mission. I want to encourage other women. I want to be encouraged myself. And I believe in you and I support you. And I want to have a fantastic product, right? So it's all wrapped in together. And that pre-sale says, let me be a part of what you're doing by ordering my product ahead of time so that you can raise the funds to build it and then send it to me. And it means that you'll wait a little bit. You're not going to wait years, but you're going to wait a few months to be able to get your product. But in the meantime, it gives us the opportunity to raise those resources so that we can give you a premium product. And it tells our investors that other women believe in us and that you actually want this and need this, because we know you do. We've asked you and you said that you do. And so now is the time for you to be able to actually activate that and to say yes with the next step of action, which is going to our website. And so the website, for those of you who are listening, is littleacornshave.co. Super easy, littleacornshave.co. And on that website, you'll be able to learn a little bit more about what we're doing and see the product and look at all the pictures. And then you'll have an opportunity to join the early edition, limited edition Founders Club. And the Founders Club is for those first 2,000 women who say, I want this. Like, I have to have it for myself, for my sister, for my mother. I want to buy it for Christmas presents. It allows us to really have that proof of traction, right? Proof of concept. Mm-hmm. And then once you engage in that, the biggest difference in the Founders Club, Brooke, compared to what you're normally going to do if you wait 6 months to do this, is that you're going to get an entire year's supply of shaving supplies. We're going to give you it at a high rate discount, or a bonus on there. And you're going to be able to participate in exclusive things that we're doing along the way. So if you have an entrepreneur mindset and you want to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes things about what we're doing, I'm going to give you sneak peeks into that. And of course, because we want to honor those people who have said yes in the beginning, the Founders Club members also get exclusive bonuses and all kinds of perks in that. And so what it looks like is a $150 investment. You're investing in a full year supply. Remember, I told you the average woman spends $200. So I'm actually going to save you some money, give you a premium product, something that's a new innovation, and you're going to support a mission that's going to help women be more inspired to accept we are enough and beautiful. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, every dollar that is used to purchase products with Little Acorn Shave Co. will also, a portion of that will also go back into our local community to help support the survivors of sex trafficking and those that have been exploited right here in our local neighborhoods.
Wow.
So
it's so powerful. And I have no tie to this. It's just, I'm passionate about what Tracy's doing. You guys know I'm passionate about this message. And it's just a no-brainer. I mean, to get Tracy's time with the behind the scenes is worth 10 times that fee anyways, and we're saving money. And to be honest, I already got mine. I'm in the Founders Club and I've been waiting, and I want to hold out on shaving. But I don't know if my husband would fully get on board with that. So I'm using a terribly subpar pink men's razor. But every time I shave, I'm like, I just can't wait for this thing. So it's gonna be good. So we'll make sure to link in this video, and so people have easy access to just check it out too. You guys, it looks cool. Like, it's like an awesome space creation. Like, it's not a normal razor. It looks amazing. So you at least gotta click and see what this thing looks like, because it's gonna make waves and be a better shave, and we're going to make a difference in the meantime. So,
and honestly, for those, even if you're not even if you don't shave, if you've had laser hair removal, like, if you're not going to be in the Founders Club, at least follow our story and share it on social media. That would be super helpful for us as well.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. Again, for those watching, just go for it. Don't dismiss the seed that has been planted. Work on managing this and get around others who can help speak the truth over that thing. So we will talk to you soon. Be in touch, Tracy. Thanks.
Thanks, Brooke.